crowd tonight. We proceed to each council meeting with a word of prayer and the pledge of allegiance. If you would like, please feel free to join us. Miss Isby, could I get you a word of prayer, please?
If you'll bow with me. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you, Lord, for this great city that you've made us to be stewards of. We just ask, Lord, that everything that we do is pleasing in your sight, and at the end that you get the glory that you're so deserving of. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now call this meeting to order. Miss Hurd, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Hawkins?
Here.
Mr. Grimes?
Here.
Mr. Spurgers?
Here.
Ms. Mel?
Here.
Mr. Ledbetter? Not here.
Mr. Ledbetter, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mr. Hawks?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Isby?
Here.
Mr. Ledbetter had a procedure earlier in the week, and he is at home and he will be back with us in 2 weeks. Also, Mr. Winningham, his daughter is having a birthday party tonight, and he asked if it would be okay if he missed the meeting. I told him that birthdays were forever, that those are the things that you do not forget, and that is more important. But he did say if the council had any questions, just to reach out and give him a call. All right. You should have received copies of the minutes from March 11th, 2025. Any corrections, changes, or comments?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted for March 11th. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 7-0. First up, well, no, we don't have that tonight. Next up, we have the Community Development Committee. Mr. Hawkins, we will turn this over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First item on this portion of the agenda is consideration to approve waiving all 3 readings for the ordinances for tonight's city council agenda, and I'll take a motion to that effect.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve waiving all 3 ordinances, readings for all 3 ordinances for the March 11th City Council agenda. Any further discussion?
We have four of those tonight, Mr. Mayor, for people watching in the audience.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Hurd.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Passes 7-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance amending the Conway zoning district boundary map for some property that is located at 708 South Barrington Street. It presently is zoned R2, and the requested zoning is to O3. And this was reviewed by the Planning Commission. And Ms. Tucker, what can you tell us about this?
Yes, sir. So this is, like you said, the applicant seeking to rezone from a current R2 to O3 with the intention of erecting several quiet offices on the site. And O3 zoning is consistent with other recent rezones in the area. The comprehensive plan does call for single family, but given the frontage of the lot on Dave Ward Drive, an office designation is supported. The property across the street is S1. It's a church. The property to the east is O3 with another O3 zone that's 2 lots to the west. This does abut an R1 to the north. There were 2 residents that spoke out against this at the Planning Commission, citing the encroachment of office and commercial use in the neighborhood. Parking was the main issue that was mentioned. If this is approved, they'll have to go through site development review, and we will address parking and drive aisles and all those things.
Go ahead, Mr.
Did you
Grimes.
say that, is he planning to use the existing structure or tear it down and build something?
Well, right now, he's thinking about the existing structure, but somewhere down the line, he's got an idea to put some 2-story offices there.
So that was the reference to several offices then
Right.
that you made.
Right.
Thank you.
But I believe that he's here to speak to it.
If you don't mind.
Massey, I'm sorry, I should have just said his name.
Okay.
If you would, please state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Sure. Lance Massey, 1531 El Paso Road, El Paso, Arkansas. I'm not the owner. I'm just a contractor who's working for him and representing the owner at this time. On this specific property, he's not wanting to specifically tear these down, the house that's there, and do the quiet office, to use the existing structure. It's got plenty of parking. I think when he thought of this idea, it was, he's had it leased out as just single-family tenants for quite a while, and then he put it up for sale. Had a lot of issues with trying to sell because of the noise barrier, because it's on Dave Ward Drive. And so he's had some other tenants reach out to him, real estate, lawyers, stuff like that, that wanted to use it as an office. So that's where he got the idea to have it rezoned for that purpose. I believe he has a different company that's looking at using it, and that their parking would require just 2 spots at this time.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone that would like to speak to opposition of this? Council, back to you.
Ian, was there any discussion as to hours?
I think we had
I'm
a hand that-
assuming-
Oh, did
Opposition.
somebody's hand come? Oh, come
Oh.
up, please. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Sheila, didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
No,
you're
no, no.
fine.
I'm sorry. I did not see you. Thank you. Would you please state your name and address for the record,
Yes,
please, ma'am?
My name is Elizabeth Brassell, and I'm a property manager for this owner. I have met with the clients who would like to rent the property. The use will be a transition facility for children coming out of foster care who will need a home, just to transition, learn how to do laundry, cook and that kind of stuff. And I've spoken with them about trying to also find them apartments so they can get their life started. It'll just be a few cars that are parked there. However, they are working with the churches that are directly across the street. So if they have any event where they would need additional parking that this parking would not facilitate, they could use the church parking and then make their way across the street. So it's more of a charity than it is a business. They would just be looking at it for counseling purposes and, like I said, using it just to help instruct and teach some of these young adults kind of how to get their life sort of started.
So these are young adults rather than small children,
Yes,
which
sir.
would
Mhm.
require a different zoning.
Yes, and from my understanding, it'll be office space that they will use in order to just counsel with these young adults. This is a company called Immerse. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. They work with the
Mhm.
Call and other organizations who help foster children transition into adulthood, and also using foster children to help them just to kind of get their life started. But they're in that upper age range, so 17, 18 years old.
Ms. Isby, you had something.
Well, I was just gonna ask from the office standpoint, the hours. So I guess kind of along that lines with what you've just alluded to, will these individuals be staying there, or will it just be basically more of an outpatient to come in for counseling services?
Yes, ma'am. It will be not used necessarily as a home for the children at all. It's just the staff needs to have a place so that they can reach to the community. They're, I think, already in Little Rock and possibly maybe Saline County at this time. So they're just trying to come up here to the Conway area to facilitate the same services in the community where there is a need. And they do have quite ample parking, believe it or not. It's a huge driveway. And then to the side of the house, there's also another driveway that extends out to Dave Ward. And he also has a parking pad that goes across the house. So I don't think the parking will become an issue.
And I know that there is definitely a need. I just know that when it's more of a residential type facility, what some people may be thinking when you say that about helping them get on their feet. So just to make sure that it is clear that this is a location that they would be coming to during the day, basically for, I guess in like a better terms, outpatient counseling, and it's
Yes.
not residential type.
No, ma'am, that's what we discussed. It would be for counseling services.
But to be clear, we're rezoning on behalf of the property manager, not the hopeful eventual tenant. Is that correct?
I guess so, yes.
So- Ms. Tucker, wouldn't it make more sense for us to look at conditional use here if we want to stipulate what needs, sorry. It's painful.
Okay, so what they originally had requested, a CUP wouldn't have worked. This is the first time I'm hearing this. But for what they originally brought to the planning department, a rezone was what needed to happen.
Let me ask
I
it maybe a
mean-
little, just a little different way.
Right.
Given what you've heard, is that allowable in '03?
What she's wanting to do is allowable
Okay.
in '03.
Okay,
There
just
is not a
save off a
CUP
problem
and an
later.
R1
Okay.
for it,
Okay.
so.
And there does appear to be ample parking here for several people that work there, and then if several people were there during the day. Yes, Ann?
I believe that there would probably be plenty, like, again, the very first thing that they brought to the planning department was gonna have like 3 offices in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the parking was questioned. But for this use, I think that it would probably be okay. I do believe that that access on Dave Ward will have to go away. I mean, you can have it for parking, but you can't have it for the access to Dave Ward.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, the tenant is a new situation. I'm sorry. I don't
No.
think we had that initially. They had, met with us, I want to say maybe Friday, of last week. And we were really excited because we thought they would be great tenants for this property, being so close to the church.
Be a tough cross coming across that Dave
we're
Ward
hoping that they'll
Drive,
use-
in my opinion.
Yeah, we're hoping they'll use the crosswalk at the light, or if they have to bus somebody over from one of the small church buses, maybe they can take a van to come across.
Ms. Tucker, you said there were a couple people that spoke in opposition at the commission meeting, but primarily about parking.
Well, just about the fact that office is encroaching on the neighborhood, they don't like it, but with the frontage to Dave Ward, nobody, I mean, nobody's gonna buy that house to live in it. Now that people may rent it, but
Sure.
Did you say someone had already rented it?
I think somebody has been living in it, haven't they?
Prior to that,
Yes.
but of course, as the city has grown and changed, it's a little harder. I'm a property manager for multiple years in this area, and as you know, it's just, the driving is an issue when your house is on a busy street. The tenant I go it to would say, this is too busy for me. I don't feel comfortable. I have a young driver, and this puts my driver at risk. I don't feel safe because it's on such a busy road. So that does put a little bit of a predicament for the owner, because then who do you rent to? Who do you find who is willing to take that chance? Very busy streets.
I got another question. You're talking about making it 2-story,
Not anymore.
not anymore?
No.
That's a guarantee? Because
Yeah.
you're talking about parking, that's gonna increase the parking needs if you have a 2-story.
No, we wouldn't change the house as it is. Right now, we're looking at a 2-year contract. We'd like to extend that with them if possible, and then as they look at their financial resources, because I'm sure a lot of it comes from charities, they'll look to see if they can extend their contract with us. But right now, it's just the building needs to house about 3 places for them for counseling and just to be able to work there during the day. So they were satisfied with the place the way it was, and no need to create anything larger.
And Mr. Jones, there's nothing that says they can't tear this house. If this is an O3 zone, there's nothing that says they can't tear this house down and build a 2-story something. But that's true of every office zone all around the city.
I understand that, but you just said that they're not gonna do it.
Right.
So which one
I
is
just-
it? Is
I
there a
wanted to-
chance, or are they not gonna do it?
They don't intend to at this point. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to stand here and tell you it won't ever happen, but that's true of all of these O3 zones.
Okay, so then let's answer the question. If they build a 2-story there, will it be enough parking then?
I think it
Parking,
depends on who,
use.
I mean, they're in the zoning code, there are required number of parking spaces, so it's just on them to figure that out.
per square foot,
Yeah, per square
of an
footage.
office structure, they have to have X number of parking
I know that.
places.
I was
That-
just trying to get my question asked.
So
Thank you.
Trying to help you. Yes, sir.
in SDR, yes, the short answer is yes. If they had to shrink the building to fit the parking, then that's what they'd have to do to follow the zoning code.
I can let you know right now, you could park about 8 to 10 cars there's an additional parking pad to the side, which can fit another 3 cars. And then to the side of the house, you could fit about another 2 to 3 cars.
My concern is less the immediate use and more that if we zone to O3, that carries on regardless of the tenant, and we have to look at what happens in the long term.
Right.
So no issues with the proposed current use, more concerned about the future.
Thank you very much for considering it.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Would anyone else like to speak for or against? Council, you have any more questions? Ms. Tucker?
If you'd like to know, the Planning Commission vote was 6-3.
I don't have any problem with it. It butts right up to an 03. Anybody that's driven down that section, Dave Ward, knows that's not a place it's not a residential area anymore. Now, I fully understand the neighbors behind them not wanting the encroachment. And I fully would not support moving office or any or non-residential zoning back into the neighborhood. But on the frontage of Dave Ward, that's the best use for it at this point.
And I'm fine with what's been presented. I think the only thing that I was kind of taken back, I guess, is when I think of office, I just think of a quiet office, you know, well, it wouldn't be a doctor's office or dentist office, but when you presented originally and talked about the clientele, just from my previous experience in mental health, my first thought was, okay, we need to make sure this is not going to be a residential. So at least with it being counseling services that are offered during regular, I think that I'm fine with that. I just wanted to make sure the residents, especially like Ann said, that being the first time she had heard that this evening, because that's one of the residents typically have more of a concern about, is if it's something that's either could turn into something residential or something of that nature. So as long as it is just a facility that is an office use for people coming in for counseling services.
Right, so I have 2 questions. On the residential, just to confirm, if they ever did try to do something like that, are there ramifications for them going against zoning codes? I mean, that's why we have the codes in here. That would be my first one. And then on the design, if they change that up, you said that that's gonna have to go before.
Right.
To-
It would
to
have
change
to go immediately into what we call site development review, and they would have to comply with all the,
Yeah, so we don't need to worry about that because we'll
No.
cross that bridge when we get there.
in an O3, I don't believe that you can have any residential. I'm going off memory. That's scary, but I don't believe that you can have any
So
residential.
we don't have to worry about it being residential. If it's something-
Not, I mean, like a family could move in there still in an O3, but what's the word I'm looking for?
Like a
Um,
group home or?
Yeah, like
Group
a
home or
group home or
residential
something like that.
facility,
No.
yes.
That's not permitted.
Mhm.
Council, what's your wishes?
Given that it's surrounded by O3, I mean, you look at the zoning map, it's sandwiched between O3 basically. I'm good with it.
So is that a motion?
I'm
for
happy to, I was about to say,
Is
I'm
that a
happy to
motion?
make a motion if there's no else. Yeah, motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve this ordinance. Rezone the property located at 708 South Barrington from R2 to O3. Any further discussion? It's heard.
This is O-2529. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Ms. Mel? Aye. Mr. Spurgers?
Aye.
Mr. Hawks?
Yes.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Mr. Grimes?
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Mr. Hawkins.
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance to rezone property at 1375 South Harkrider. Currently, it's zoned A1. The requested zoning is a C3. This was reviewed by the Planning Commission at their meeting March 17th of this year, and at that time, the commission voted 8-0 to move this on to City Council with a recommendation of approval, and we have an ordinance to read for this item. It's ordinance O-2530. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Hawkins is doing my job for me. So what the applicant intends to do is move his business, Hegel Glass, to this location. The property is surrounded by C3 to the north and east. The railroad is behind it and A1 to the south, which is vacant. It passed unanimously at Planning Commission and there was nobody there to speak against the request. And Mr.
Good.
Yes, is here to speak in favor if you'd like to hear from him.
Would anyone like to speak for or against? Hello, would you please state your name and address for the record, please, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm John Lewitt and 23 Charles Street, Conway. Yeah, and I applied to have this rezoned. I'm applying for the current owners, but the sale of the property is contingent on this rezoning for me to purchase it and build a new location for Eagle Glass. Approximately, we're thinking approximately 6,000 square foot facility, 4,000 square foot of shop and fabrication area, and about 2,000 square foot of offices and showroom for our products. So
Well, I've bought a lot of glass from you guys over the years.
you have. I've seen you a few times.
Make a
Council?
motion for adoption of the ordinance.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt this ordinance to rezone property at 1375 South Harkrider from A1 to C3. Any further discussion? Glad to see you guys are growing here in Conway.
We like being downtown. We've outgrown it a long time.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hurd?
Mr. Grimes?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Mr. Spurgers?
Aye.
Mr. Hawks?
Yes.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Hawkins?
Yes.
Passes 7-0. Mr. Hawkins?
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance to rezone property located approximately 620 feet west of Museum Road and East Siebenmorgen Road roundabout. It currently is zoned R1. The requested zoning is R2. And Ms. Tucker, I'll let you tell it this time.
Okay. This applicant intends to build duplexes in phases on these lots. So the first phase is going to be 2 duplexes, and then there's a third lot that's really big that he's going to put 2 on in the second phase. Abutting land uses are predominantly large single-family residential to the west, a vacant single-family zone to the north, Hawks Senior Center and a mini storage to the east, and commercial retail sales uses to the south along North Creek Drive. The motion to approve passed unanimously at Planning Commission, and nobody spoke against the request.
Thank you, Ms. Tucker. Would anyone like to speak for or against? Council, any more questions, Ms. Tucker, or back to you?
And that's the empty lot they just cleared, isn't it?
Yes,
I thought it
yes.
was. Okay.
I pass this piece of property every day. This is a good use of this property, I think.
Good deal.
I will
Adoption of the ordinance.
second.
Were you gonna say something?
Have a motion and a second to approve the the rezoning of the property located, let's see if I can read this, approximately 620 feet west of Museum Road and East Siebermorton Road roundabout from R1 to R2. Does that sound correct?
Yes.
All right.
We'll have an address once it's,
Hey,
Once
any
it's
further
done.
discussion? Ms. Hurd?
This is O2531. Mr. Hawkins?
Yes.
Mr. Grimes?
Aye.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Mel?
Aye.
Ms. Isby?
Yes.
Mr. Hawks?
Yes.
Mr. Spurgers?
Aye. That passes 7-0. Mr. Hawkins?
Next item, Mr. Mayor, is an ordinance to rezone property located at 643 Reedy Road. It currently is zoned A1. The requested zoning is to O3, and this was reviewed by the Planning Commission March 17th. And Ms. Tucker, tell us what happened at that time.
Ms. Keisha Jefferson of Jefferson's Early Learning Center has operated at this site for well over 10 years. It's in an A1 zoning and is currently considered legally non-conforming. Ms. Jefferson applied to construct a 608 square foot addition, which triggered the compliance with current zones. She is asking to rezone the property to O3 as that's the best fit for the surrounding area. And if the rezone passes, the next item on the agenda is a conditional use to allow for daycare. The areas that surround the property are zoned as single-family homes to the north and west, a multifamily apartment to the northwest and southwest, and a duplex to the south. So this passed unanimously at Planning Commission, and nobody spoke against it. And Miss Jefferson is here if you'd like to hear from her.
And this is what's operating as Smart Start, correct?
Is it called yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think on the or on the deal, it's Jefferson's Early Learning Center, but yes, Smart.
We'd love to hear from you if you want to come on up. And I have to go through this. If you would, state your name and address, please, for the record.
Keisha Jefferson, 3445 Blacksmith. I am, the center has been used as a child care center for, like you said, years. And I think the trigger for me was I want to expand an area of it to allow some teacher planning area and a meeting place, therapy office space for our visitors as they come to visit the kiddos and do different therapies.
Good theme of business growth this evening.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard good things over the years.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the rezoning of property located at 643 Reedy Road from A1 to O3. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd?
So 2532, Ms. Mill,
Aye.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Hawks,
Yes.
Mr. Hawkins,
Yes.
Grimes,
Aye.
Burgers.
Aye.
Ms. Isby.
Yes.
That passes 7-0. All right, next is Mr. Hawkins.
Final item is consideration to approve a conditional use permit to allow childcare facility use in an O3 zoning, which is allowed on the property at 643 Reedy Road, which we just rezoned. And we have Ms. Tucker or Ms. Jefferson to speak about this.
We'd just like for Ms. Jefferson to be able to continue to operate as normal.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve this conditional use permit for a child care center facility in the O3 zone for property located at 643 Reedy Road. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
7-0. Thank you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
And the last item we have tonight is a resolution to approve the lowest bid and purchase of a tarp deployment system for the sanitation department. And Joe is out of town. We have Nathan Davis here. Nathan, come on up and educate us.
Afternoon.
Hello. Sounds like something Tom Cruise would use in a movie. I don't know.
So, you know, every day we're required by regulations to cover trash on the landfill working face. Soil is the primary cover. We are allowed alternate daily cover, which is, mulch, or what we commonly use is kind of like a plastic film held down by sand. It's not reusable. This machine would allow us basically to use reusable tarps daily to cover. It would it would pay for itself in about a year. We spend about $40,000 a year on plastic and sand, and like I said, this would pay for itself in about a year and would save us landfill space. And I've got James Lloyd. He's actually the landfill manager. If you have any technical questions. But what is a life expectancy of this? How long is it? So the machine itself would last for a while. The tarps themselves have about a 5-year lifespan.
Okay, that's good.
Thank you.
Were these two companies bidding on the same piece of equipment?
That's a
a big
pretty,
difference.
that's a gap.
Yeah,
One of them is
these are,
half of the other.
I know, these are really the only two companies that you can find that build something like this. One just kind of goes all out as far as they have an engine on it that turns the tarps to roll them out. One's gas powered, one's diesel. One of the companies just kind of is a little more high end, but they both do the same thing.
Have we dealt with this particular low bidder before?
We have not, but a lot of landfills do use them.
You got a good recommendation.
Yes, sir.
Tim. Thank you.
That's a significant difference.
Mhm. Yes,
2A.
big difference.
An expensive saran wrap.
Council, do you have any questions for the other gentleman for sanitation? All right, back to you guys.
I'll make a motion for the adoption of the resolution R 2508.
Second,
Oh, 09.
09.
09? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, 09. Excuse me.
You'll second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution to purchase a TARP deployment system, low bid, for the sanitation department. Any further discussion? Ms. Hurd,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
passes 7-0. Appreciate the job you
Thank
guys
you.
do out there.
Thank you.
Nathan.
Can't remember. Who seconded that one?
I did.
Thank you, Ms. Mel.
Council? Mr.
I did
Jones?
first.
Council, that's all I have
That's
tonight.
right.
With that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We are
Second.
adjourned.
You want to second that too?
I'll second that.
All right.